Greetings, salutations, what's good everybody? It's day 36 of the YouTube journey, and today's video is very different. For the last couple of weeks, a lot of people have been asking me if I have any channels that I started from zero, because a lot of the YouTube channels I've been working with have been literally like rebranded. So today I thought I'll take the time to tell you guys about a channel that I am personally going to be starting within the next few weeks, and it does involve long form content. Now I want to go ahead and scroll over here so you guys can see what is the field that I'm particularly going to be looking at getting into, and that field is in the field of the niche with AI stories slash anime slash and manga inspired channels. Now that's the generic field, the overall field. So I want to break this down so you guys can understand what this field exactly entails. So let me actually move my Word document out the way, because you know I love myself some Microsoft Word. So funny enough, there was this channel here that popped up a few weeks ago on my Twitter feed called Tiny Storytime, and Tiny Storytime is pretty much an AI generated channel that utilizes, you know, these AI generated images, and even it's an AI generated story. And for those of you that want to know what a channel like this could be making, we can go over to the Next Level app, and you can see this channel made around $2,800 in the last 28 days with only 450,000 views and an RPM of around $6, almost $7. If you want to use the View Stats app, you can see that that's pretty much on par for what this channel is making. And this channel, I should note, only started in November of 2024, and they've already of course have 1.3 million views. Right, this isn't the first time a channel like this has popped up on my particular news feed. Actually, there's another channel that I saw a few months back which was called Monkey Manga Recap, and essentially this channel likes to also like take, say, manga or webtoon and do recap videos of those certain series and whatnot. They also experimented with doing like AI generated webtoons as well, and as you guys can see, some of the videos for this is like hours upon hours long. They actually just released this about 18 minutes ago. If I do a good refresh, about 35 minutes ago. Okay, so that's how long I have had this you know, channel up on my screen. But as you guys can see, they made around $5,300 in the last 28 days with 789,000 views and about $6 to almost, as you guys can see, the RPM is about the same, right? Because these are longer videos, and I would like to believe they made even more money than what may be described there. But as you guys can see, it's around that 2K to 5K, so not bad, right, for AI generated slash recaps. And I know for sure that these recaps would probably run somebody like around, at the best, if we're talking like quality wise, at the best they can probably run you, I want to say 80 to like $120, but they're using AI generated stuff, so it will cost even less than that, and they're making like 5K, right? And last but not least, I want to show off this channel here. This channel is another like manga slash manga recap channel. As I refresh it, this channel is much larger than the other ones. This one has around 300, almost 300,000 subscribers. If we go to the analytics from Next Level, they made $15,000 in the last 28 days with 4.4 million views and an RPM that's much less at $3.24. So the question is, why is their RPM much lower if they're producing somewhat of the same type of content? Well, I mean, you can look at the thumbnails slash some of the content that they are utilizing and whatnot, and maybe advertisers doesn't want to really put their advertisements on something like this. However, these are legit stories, like in webtoons. Some of these might even be as we like to say, the sexual types and whatnot, but you know, for the most part, these are all just like action webtoons, and basically they just had them recapped, right? So now that you guys have seen what is the field that I'm getting into, like obviously I'm getting into a field that I have very extensive knowledge about, because I myself have made webtoons in the past. I myself have been I've been writing webtoons, and yes, I could draw it, but I particularly don't have the time to draw. However, I have been developing my own card game over the last couple of years, and within my card game, you know, I've developed a lot of art. Like I'm talking about, we have so much art that's been developed. And so just to show you guys what some of the art that's been developed for our original characters, like our character, I call her Camellia. So I figured that this niche might fit me. Right now, this artwork here, actually it's already been colored, right? So you can see what some of the coloring would look like for an original character from my own series and whatnot, right? So this did give me an idea that, you know what, maybe I can combine the AI stories with the anime slash manga inspired, you know, recaps to make something a little bit more original. So if we take the AI stories, which is a niche that's gaining steam right now, we take the manga, the anime slash webtoon recaps that's copyrighted and that can have future issues in the you know, basically when you have those manga those manga recaps, webtoon recaps, and even anime recaps, they are all copyrighted, so in the future though that can become a major issue. So the goal is to try to create something original, right? So you can still use Chat GPT to assist yourself in writing if you're an author out there or an aspiring author. I don't like to say inspiring author anymore because either you write or you don't. Either you're an author or you're not, right? So I figured you can still use Chat GPT or any of these other AI programs to help you assist in writing, you know, multiple different worlds, right? Obviously, through the advent of AI, things become a whole lot easier, so you can use it to plot and outline your stories, especially if you intend for them to run for multiple chapters, right? Then you can use Fiverr to hire an artist to do like the principal artwork for your characters. Use real artists for the thumbnails of your YouTube videos and the principal images versus using AI to generate the characters. You can also use your characters that you create to eventually, you know, you can use those characters to do AI artwork. I personally like working with artists, like when I can have my artists produce work like this here, or let me give you another example. So in my card game previously, this was what that same character that's been more anime looked like. And this was one of the first principal artworks I used for this character, Camellia, right? Magical girl, you know, like I love my magical girls from all days past and whatnot. So I have a lot of art that I can utilize from the past and from past works here. And a lot of these are all concepts that I personally came up with and started, you know, the design process with. So I figured that, you know what, there's a way that I can formulate all these characters that I've created since 2000, I want to say 21, for some characters much older than that. But I figured that there's a way for me to, you know, like create characters like this, utilize them, have them colored, and you know, we can come up with something pretty good, like the same character you just saw, two different styles of the artwork between them, right? So I figured, okay, now I have the basis for what I want to do with the artwork. I could then, you know, utilize 11 labs for, like, say, the voiceover, right? Because that's the easier part. And once you have your chapters written, then you can have 11 labs basically do the voiceover, and you can target like 2,000 words or so per chapter. And of course, using ChatGPT, it can assist you to get there. And you do only your manual editing, and you want to make sure that it all makes sense at the end of the day. ChatGPT and all these other AI programs are amazing when it comes to that. For those people who may not have the best type of skills when it comes to being a writer, I'm not gonna say that ChatGPT isn't a cheat or anything like that, but it is one of the most powerful assistants you can have, right? But here's the next thing. We want to take this a step further. You know, all these channels here essentially are just gonna make their money from YouTube, right? That's about it, you know. And hear me out. Making $2,800 is nice. Making, what was it, $5,000 on this channel is nice. And making I showed you guys on this channel of 299,000 subscribers, making $15,000 is nice, right? But that's just one way to monetize through YouTube, because you're going to have original stories, right? That's the biggest difference. You're gonna have original stories. You have the potential to post your story on another platform, such as Royal Road, right? Royal Road is a platform, especially if you're writing anime stories or anything that's in the fantasy realm, where you can post your stories on Royal Road, start to gain traction with the audience on this particular platform. And I mean, you don't even have to use Royal Road. There's also webnovels.com. There's also you know, there's a couple other ones out there, but I chose Royal Road because I wanted to show you guys this in particular. So Royal Road, there's this particular series called Super Supportive, right? And Super Supportive right now has about 29,000 followers, and the person has written about 3,800 pages, 204 chapters, and they have right now 19 million views, right? And Super Supportive, it started, I want to say about 2 years ago, as it says here. So about 2 years ago is when this series started on Royal Road. And this person also has a Patreon, which they upload chapters to. And essentially on that Patreon, they upload their backlog chapters, right? So for instance, if I was going to do, let's say I'm doing this channel and I write out 50 chapters, right? So technically between those 50 chapters, if I time it for, let's say with the YouTube videos, let's say about every 3 chapters is like 1 video or so. But I'm also posting these chapters on Royal Road, and then I'm putting the backlog chapters onto a Patreon account like this person does. Well, let me show you. On Patreon, they're making publicly right now $30,000 a month. Okay. And this is with, you know, 8,800 members. If you want to know how many paid members they have, 3,700. So a lot of people don't know this, but the majority of people who join these Patreon accounts usually are going to be in the highest tier when you can get extra chapters, right? So right now this one has it at $10 a month, right? What if I told you there's a person out here who is making even more money than this for their web novel that they post every single day, right? So there's this series called the Primal Hunter, right, on this platform. And the Primal Hunter is written by Zogarth, right? And this what I mean, he started this series 4 years ago, right? And he's up to, I believe right now, somewhere in the thousands upon thousands of chapters. It says he's at chapter 1018 as of right now, right? And he posts for free on Royal Road. He also posts on Kindle, which is where you can get the digital and physical copies of the full books, Kindle Unlimited, which you can read chapters from this like every single day and get paid per page. And he also has it posted on Audible, which is very similar to YouTube, like an audiobook, because that's exactly what these storytime channels are. They are audiobooks at the end of the day. So I was just looking at how can we really like reverse engineer it, right? Now the Primal Hunter, how much are they making a month for just writing their story on Patreon alone? Well, right here, they're making $74,000 a month from their story. Obviously, the story is very well beloved, and they have, you know, close to 9,400 people who are paying, who are paid members, and the majority of them, yes, they are in the $10 tier, because he's offering 50 chapters ahead of whatever the current free release is. So if the free release is at chapter 1018, then the paid option goes all the way up to chapter 1068, right? Now, just imagine if this was you as well, and you generated that many chapters, and you also have those chapters to post onto YouTube about the audience that you can possibly cultivate. But of course, with these AI stories, you're able to do multiple different things. You don't want to burn yourself out, but this is where I got to my plan of like, all right, well, if I do an original story, I can open up, you know, the Royal Road account, create a backlog of chapters, post chapters in the relevant YouTube versions for each chapter, then open up a Patreon, use the backlog to create 3 tiers, as you guys saw from the most recent one, and have official art drawn to replace the AI art that I use with you know, the Patreon perks, because I personally love original art more than AI, because AI, you might get like extra fingers and all that other BS, right? Not only that, you can double down by then opening up a website. With that website, you can post updates. Of course, you can do merchandise on that website and just further the branding that you can do around all these series that you can possibly create, right? The next best thing is then using Amazon Kindle and Unlimited. Of course, you can sell the digital books and the physical copies of the book. You can also turn those old chapters with web novels, right, into a full light novel. So when you collect enough pages to be around, I think 200 to 250 pages or so, then you can create a actual light novel. make sure you can do the work to get the artwork done for it. And at this point in time, you would already have the money in order to do that, because now you're just giving yourself a brand new audience to check out your original work, right? Then from there on, you can work with Audible, and Audible, you can have an official version, you know, of your work, because essentially, once again, Audible is just like these AI stories that's being printed, right? And then the next best thing is the licensing. The one thing that you can have that you can that if you were doing it through AI stories, or if you were doing it more so through the copyrighted material, like with manga, webtoons, anime, TV shows, and like those type of recaps, that you can't do. You can now, you own your original characters. Like all these characters here, I own. Like the ones I was showing you in the artwork and whatnot, I own all those characters. You know, so when I was working on, you know, this card game of mine, like I developed so many different types of characters with so many different types of artwork here, that, you know, I was just trying to figure out, all right, you know, what's the best way I can go about like creating characters. And I spent the last 3 years really in the, I guess you say, in the bag. Like we were in our bag working on developing so many different characters, right, over the years. And all of this is drawn by an artist, and there's no AI involved or anything like that. So with all these different characters, yes, I could, you know, license them out if they get popular enough or someone wants to work with them. In the case of the Primal Hunter for Zogarth, you know, they have a whole webtoon that's on webtoons.com that's called the Primal Hunter. And that's just the power that you can have once you get something as popular, once you start creating your own IPs and they get super popular. And Zogarth makes around $1 million in a year or more through all of the writing that he does itself. So I figured that this is, you know, I want to become an author. Like what I figured, like for my YouTube career slash what I want to do outside is become like a full-time author. But I have to think about a lot of the business type of things. And, you know, AI does present a new avenue in terms of getting your stories off the ground, more so helping you flesh out ideas. But at the end of the day, I think the more ethical debate between a lot of people is how much of the story that's going to be written is AI influence and how much of it is going to be your own influences. You know, like I said, this is just one of the things I'm going to be working on over the next month to start launching. And I'll of course be documenting that on this channel itself, so we can see how it grows. You know, of course, with the stories that I write, I figured that one of the best ways that you can utilize, say, these AI generated stories, or even like as a launching pad, is if for those of you who are interested to write like short stories, right? For those, I know a lot of people on this channel may not know much about, say, the manga aspect and what goes on in Japan. But short stories or one shots, what a lot of them are called at manga, are prevalent, right? So you can have these stories that you do for one video. It can be like an hour long, but a complete story. And if that story gains traction on YouTube, like let's say the story goes viral, then that might give you the inclination to write a whole serialization for it. And that's essentially how a lot of manga get made in Japan. Like Naruto and Bleach, they were, of course, one shots that got popular and then became what we now known as, you know, these major massive franchises. The same thing with One Piece as well. And a lot of the most popular anime started off as like a short story that was entered that became on to be this big serialization. So I'm just thinking about a lot of those ideas and reincorporating them for what I want to do as a, you know, future business. And here's the thing, anybody can listen to what I'm saying right now and apply it. Hell, a lot of people are already doing it self, but I don't think that a lot of people who have like who are writing these AI stories, the ones that aren't doing it with copyrighted material, are looking past, you know, just only, I think most of them are just looking at, all right, you know, I have this AI stories channel and that's about it. You know, a lot of people may not know that there is such thing as a royal road to grow your fan base, like how you can monetize this through Patreon or a website. So these are the things I like to think about, and these are the things I have thought about for many years. And you know, I'm putting the sauce out here on the internet. You know, so when you start seeing that channel for me pop up, of course I'll be documenting it here. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of the next channel I'm going to be starting from zero. So it won't be a rebrand like any of the other channels that I'm working on currently right now. It won't be something that already has thousands upon thousands of subscribers. No, this one will be started from scratch, and the channel name and all that stuff will be disclosed in future videos. But if you guys found this video entertaining or valuable, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and put your thoughts in the comment section down below. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow for another video. You already know, it's your boy Card, and I'm out. Doses.